thank you. And before I launch into this, Grant McBride kindly reminded me as I came in the door this morning, you stand up every week and tell people you're going to help them overcome their fear of public speaking, so you better go out there and make a good job of it this morning. So it's always nice to have that extra little bit of pressure. We do say that people perform best under pressure, Grant, so
Sophia.
many thanks for that. Very happy to see you. So yes, as you can see here, Sophia Hansen, coaching and hypnotherapy, transforming lives, births and businesses, and I'll come on to explain more about that as we move forwards. So, married to my husband John in the top left, my stepdaughter Tilly with me there on the right, and that's Goldie, our little cat. I always like to joke that at some point she started off as a small dog, but that's the power of hypnotherapy, you never quite know what's going to happen. So, hypnotherapy, myth, magic, or is it an absolute must-have? Well, I'm slightly biased, but it is always one of those topics that people always love to ask questions and to really just get to understand a little bit more. So my goal by the end of today's presentation is that you will understand a whole lot more about hypnotherapy and hopefully come to the same conclusion as me and my happy customers. So, hypnosis research studies suggest 93% success rates and over fewer sessions than many talking therapies. Now, of course, that is very, very many variables within there. On the bottom left, as you can see, I'll stand back a little bit here, you can see it depends on the training that you've had, the learning, your background. Secondly, it depends on the client that you have. Can anybody come for hypnotherapy? We'll touch on that later on. And thirdly, it depends on the hypnotherapist that you have and what else they have, what their understanding is, and how they use their tools. I picked up my first hypnotherapy book when I was 15. Does that make me qualified to be a hypnotherapist? Does it make me a phenomenal one? No, but I've done lots in between that honed my communication skills. They gave me lots of experience and that really helped me to look at the world in a different way. So I started off at university, graduated with an English degree, moved into working at Murrayfirth Radio, where I was a broadcast journalist, reading the news, researching, writing the stories. Bottom left, moved to Cyprus, where I worked at the Cyprus Lion as both a sub-editor and an editor of the military newspaper. Came back to the UK, where I worked for 2 years as an estate agent. Then I moved into communications for Lothian and Borders Police and NHS Highlands, before doing a short stint at Day One, which was mentoring for young people. And then started up my own business, which was Joy Communication. It was PR and obviously communication, before moving into Sophia Hansen coaching and hypnotherapy. So really the coaching and hypnotherapy came about from two different places. One was the pain of recognising that I wasn't happy with my life, I wanted it to be different, and the second, as hopefully you can tell, is an absolute passion for everything that I do. So I've been featured since then in Executive Magazine, again on Murrayfirth Radio, Valley Life Magazine down in West Yorkshire, British Forces Broadcasting Services, Yogi Times, BBC, Highland News and Media, and I absolutely love writing, so if there's a way that I can get my message out there to people in an inspiring way and that makes a difference, then that's always my primary goal. So what is hypnotherapy? Does anyone else in the room feel a bit like this when I say anything about hypnotherapy? But what is it? How does it work? So essentially hypnotherapy is all about creating a focused state of awareness, and in that focused state of awareness we move beyond that conscious part of your mind, the part that thinks it's in charge, and we start to make the changes in your unconscious mind. The unconscious mind, you can think of it like a vinyl, like a record, where to start off with you're just playing the same memories over and over, you're just playing that same tune. And when we work in hypnotherapy, we find the things that you want to change, and we almost scratch that record so that it starts to play a different tune and the one that you want instead. So how do we do this? The conscious mind. The part that we believe is in charge of what we're up to most of the time is actually less than 10%. It is responsible for your logic, your willpower, your short-term memory and your critical thinking. The unconscious mind has just about everything else within it. It's your long-term memory, your beliefs, your imagination, responsible for your breathing, for how your heart beats. It also holds your fears, your self-image, how you see yourself, your automatic behaviours. It's why when you wake up in the morning, you're not in the bathroom looking at a toothbrush and toothpaste going, what do I do with it and what is it? And I don't even know why it's here. You automatically start to do these things and to use these things. and it's also responsible for your emotions. So when we start to work with the unconscious mind, we go in there, we make the changes that you want to change. It's not something that I say, I'm in charge, this is how you're going to be. It's 100% what you come to me for, and those are the changes that we go to make. So hopefully that gives you an insight into exactly what hypnotherapy is and some of the ways it can be used. So can I just work with anybody? No. If I could just work with anybody, as Neil used to always say, anyone with a pulse, anybody with a heartbeat, anyone with a spine. For me, that doesn't work because the person has to really want the change and they have to be committed to making the change. If somebody's going to come in and just sit in the chair and say, work your magic, I'm just going to be here, that's not going to work. They have to be committed to it as well. So when they walk out of the door, they're accepting responsibility for themselves. So they're not just going, I went to see Sophia and that just didn't work. They have to be out there committed to what they've said they want. So I need to hear from them, not necessarily these specific words, but these ideas. Something has to change in their life. It has to be me, as in them, and it has to be now. Not in 6 months, not in a year, it has to be now. Because if somebody isn't committed, I'm sure Donald would back me up, it's like going to the gym every day, but just going, well, I'm here at the gym and there's the treadmill and here's the weights, but I'm not doing anything. I just want to lose some weight in 6 months or get fitter. It's not going to work. They have to want that change to be now. And so, what are some of the broad brush things that I can work with in hypnotherapy? Top left, those funny little faces. I can help people to change old habituated emotions. If anyone can think about a specific person that maybe irritates them in some way, and every so often they get in your head and they just go round and round and round. It might be an ex, it might be a former colleague, it could be anyone at all. But those old feelings that just keep coming up and that from time to time really take charge of you, we can change those so that you are back in the driving seat. Bottom left, I can help you to stop doing something that you no longer want to do, whether that's in your personal life or your business. Top right, you can start doing something that you really want to do. Not just when it gets to January and going, oh, I think I'm going to have some kind of New Year's resolution, but you can start to do something that you know you need to do now in your life or business. And then the bottom right, you can do something that you already do, but you can do it better. And hypnotherapy is fantastic for all 4 of these different ways. So, some of the myths about hypnotherapy. Do you get stuck in hypnosis like this poor person here who's just going to be stuck there forever? No, you're not going to get stuck in hypnosis. You might fall asleep, that's true. Occasionally there are dulcet tones of snoring in my hypnotherapy chair. I just let them be because the unconscious mind is always listening. It still has the power to make that change. It's not going to wear off. Sometimes I hear people go, oh, but I had some hypnotherapy and it's just worn off. The truth is, if you feel like it's worn off, then you've either stopped doing consciously some of the other things that you could have done to help continue to support that, or maybe your values have changed. So somebody along the way might come and say, I really want to lose weight to go to this specific wedding, but once that wedding's over, they're not that fussed about it. So if their values have changed, then of course those things can change. You will likely remember bits of what happens in hypnotherapy. So people often say to me, I heard every single word. I say, did you? That's amazing. Tell me every single word. And it takes them about 4 minutes. You go, well, the hypnotherapy session was 90, so 4 minutes is not a very good summary of it. But you will likely remember bits and pieces of it. Maybe just words, maybe phrases, maybe just particular feelings. Trance is also natural. We all go in and out of trance every single day. So right now, although I have not intentionally hypnotized anybody in this space, you are in a natural state of trance. You're in a more focused state of awareness. You're paying attention. So you are also in control of the changes that we make, not me. And that's really important because often I hear people say, oh, hypnotherapy, someone else is going to take control and say, you will lose weight. But that's not how we work whatsoever. And our little chicken friend there, if you've ever seen stage hypnosis where you have people clucking around doing that whole, well, do you want to do some clucking first? So where you can, well, this is my prop as well, and I stole this prop, we'll come to that shortly. But where you can have, where you see stage hypnosis, you have people who are clucking around every time a certain piece of music comes on, they get up and they start dancing, or They see somebody that they ordinarily wouldn't find attractive, and they suddenly find themselves chatting them up, and then they bring them out of trance like, whoa, how did that happen? But that might happen more often than not in some other establishments around Inverness. But either way, you are in control of the changes that you make, and so much of what you see on TV is absolute stage hypnosis. It's not what we do in the hypnotherapy chair. It's a very safe space, a very nurturing space, and it's all about you. So, what are some of the things that I have worked with over the last 12 months or so that have been specific referrals from within this room? In the middle, Ross touched on it earlier on, the middle at the top, spiders, overcoming fear of spiders. On the top right, fear of public speaking or public speaking nerves. Thank you, Grant, for the reminder. We have the measuring tape there, people who want to lose weight, whether it's a lot of weight or a little weight. Top left, fear of flying. I also purloined Ross's Loganair flight here for fear of flying. We have fear of dogs. People, not so much a fear of money, but people who have a fear around making more money. What will people say about them? How will it feel for them to make more money? What if the money doesn't come? All the usual things that can arise when you run your own business. We have that large little white person running around with the Twix. People who want to stop eating chocolate. Andrew still started the ball rolling on that one, and it is still rolling very successfully. On the bottom right, this one's slightly more unusual. I worked with a teenage girl just a few weeks ago who had an absolute phobia of being sick or of other people around her being sick. So when she walked into the therapy space, she started off saying she was 10 out of 10, petrified of being around anyone who was going to be sick. It was a full-on hands over ears, hands over eyes, la 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 la, and got to get out of this space, could really feel the panic arising. And I'm very pleased to say that since her session, she has none of that whatsoever. Also really good for dealing with stress. I've supported people to reduce or to stop drinking alcohol. And then the large picture that we have in the middle, this very much represents if you're already confident, you already know what you're all about, but you want that extra edge to be able to go out there and to feel like a superhero, to supercharge your confidence, then hypnotherapy can absolutely work for that too. Just to give a little summary overall, Highlands Hypnobirthing, which comes in underneath Sophia Hansen Coaching Hypnotherapy. Essentially, hypnobirthing is about using mindset techniques, it's about using breathing, it's also about using your body. So to give you an example of that, a labouring woman who moves around during labour itself can increase the space in her pelvis by up to 30% to move their baby through. So if anyone has any routine parking in the Rose Street car park, for example, you'll know how welcome an extra 30% space is to be able to park your car. Imagine what that feels like to be able to move your baby through your pelvis. On the bottom right, I also teach yoga. The kind of yoga that I teach is very gentle, it's very nurturing. It is the kind of yoga that is used in war-torn countries, so it's part of de-traumatization. So in terms of using somatic aspects within my business, it's a really, really good and crucial way, it's a vital part to help people to make the changes, because we really underestimate how we're holding our bodies and how much that impacts on how we think, how we move, and everything else that comes from it. If I was to come up here and stand like this and say today I'm going to do my presentation and here we go, none of that feels good in my body, and it's going to come across in exactly the same way that I present. And then on the top right, we have the hypnotherapy, the absolute place of transformation, where you start off as one thing, you go through a process, it might not look exactly like you want it to look from the get-go, but you come through that process to the point that hypnotherapy really can make you fly. So, hypnotherapy, myth, there's plenty of myths out there, but it's definitely not a myth. I'm proving it to myself every single day. I don't know who gets more excited, my clients or me, when they get the results that they want. Is it magic? 100% for me, because again, some of the results you can get are just amazing, and as far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute must-have tool in your toolbox if you're looking to make any change or transformation in your life. So that's me for today. Hypnotherapy, myth, magic, or must-have? Let's say a must-have, and thank you all very much for your attention. Thank you.